9 people, 9 different streets, 9 stab wounds. The killer's name was Vincent Reeves, 29 years old, ex-convict, violent, unpredictable. He'd been released from Sing Sing prison in February 1957 after serving 6 years for armed robbery. 3 weeks later, he stabbed his first victim, Marcus Holland, 34, bakery owner on 135th Street, stabbed in the chest during a robbery attempt, died on the sidewalk before the ambulance arrived. 2 days later, Reeves stabbed Sarah Jenkins, 28, walking home from her shift at Harlem Hospital. Single stab wound to the abdomen. She survived, barely. Then came Jerome Washington, stabbed outside a jazz club, survived. Then Dorothy Price, stabbed in a grocery store, died. Then Michael Crawford, stabbed near a subway entrance, survived. Then Alice Freeman, stabbed in an alley, died. Then Robert Hayes, stabbed outside his apartment, survived. Then Catherine Moore, stabbed near a church, died. Then, finally, on March 19, 1957, Vincent Reeves stabbed Thomas Williams, 62 years old, retired postal worker, stabbed 3 times in the back while walking to the corner store. Thomas Williams died 2 hours later at Harlem Hospital. 9 victims, 7 dead, 2 survivors. The NYPD knew who was responsible. Witnesses had seen Reeves. His fingerprints were at 3 of the crime scenes. They had evidence, but they couldn't find him. Reeves had gone underground, hiding somewhere in Harlem, moving between abandoned buildings, staying 1 step ahead of the police. For 2 weeks, he evaded capture, until Bumpy Johnson decided the police had had their chance. On March 21, 1957, Bumpy found Vincent Reeves in an abandoned tenement on 142nd Street. And what Bumpy did next would become one of Harlem's darkest legends. March 21, 1957, 11:47 p.m. The abandoned tenement on 142nd Street had been empty for 3 years, windows boarded up, no electricity, no heat. Just a shell of a building where squatters and addicts occasionally took shelter. Vincent Reeves was sleeping in a 3rd-floor apartment when the door crashed open. He woke up, reached for the knife he kept under his jacket. Willie Lee was faster, kicked the knife across the room, put a boot on Reeves' chest, pinned him to the floor. Marcus Cole came through the door next, gun. Reeves didn't respond, just stared back with empty eyes. "The police have been looking for you for 2 weeks," Bumpy continued, "but they couldn't find you, so I did." "What do you want?" Reeves asked. His voice was flat, no fear, no remorse. "I want you to understand what you did. I want you to feel what those 9 people felt, and then I want you to face justice." "Justice," Reeves laughed. "There's no justice. Police won't catch me. Courts won't convict me. I'll walk, just like I always do." Bumpy's expression didn't change. Not this time. The car started moving, east, out of Harlem, into the Bronx. They drove for 20 minutes in silence. Finally, the car stopped. Woodlawn Cemetery, the largest cemetery in New York City, over 400 acres, thousands of graves, and in the far northeast corner, where the groundskeepers rarely went, was an empty section reserved for paupers, people with no family, no money, no one to claim them. Willie and Marcus pulled Reeves out of the car. They were standing at the edge of the cemetery, dark, quiet, no one around. Bumpy opened the trunk, pulled out 2 shovels, handed them to Willie and Marcus. Then he looked at Reeves. "You killed 7 people, wounded 2 more, 9 victims total. So here's what's gonna happen." Bumpy gestured to the empty field in front of them. "You're gonna dig 9 graves, 6 feet deep, 3 feet wide, regulation size. 1 grave for each person you stabbed." Reeves stared at him. "You're insane." "No, I'm practical.
You took 9 lives, or tried to, so you're gonna dig 9 graves, and when you're done, one of those graves is for you." Reeves' face went pale. "You're gonna bury me alive?" "I didn't say that. I said one of the graves is for you. Whether you end up in it depends on what happens next." Bumpy nodded to Willie and Marcus. "Cut his hands loose. Give him a shovel." Marcus cut the zip ties. Willie handed Reeves one of the shovels. Reeves held it, looked at the empty field, then back at Bumpy. "And if I refuse, then we shoot you right now and bury you in one shallow grave. Your choice." Reeves looked at the 3 men standing around him, all armed, all watching him. He had no choice. He took the shovel and started digging. Grave 1. The ground was hard, half frozen from the late winter cold. Reeves swung.
Bumpy handed him a bottle of water. "Drink. You've got 8 more graves to dig." Reeves drank. His hands were shaking. "This is from Marcus Holland, the bakery owner. You stabbed him in the chest. He died on the sidewalk. He had a wife, 3 kids. They found out he was dead when the police knocked on their door at 3 a.m. Bumpy pointed to a wooden cross Willie had hammered into the ground next to the grave. On the cross, written in black paint, Marcus Holland. "That's his grave," Bumpy said quietly. "You just dug it. Now dig the next one." Grave 2. By the time Reeves finished the second grave, the sun was starting to rise. He'd been digging for 5 hours. His hands were raw, bleeding. His whole body was shaking from exhaustion. Bumpy handed him more water, then placed another wooden cross at the head of the grave. Dorothy Price. "Dorothy was a teacher," Bumpy said. "Taught kindergarten. You stabbed her because she wouldn't give you her purse. She died in an alley. Her students made cards for her funeral. 5-year-olds, drawing pictures of their teacher because you took her from them." Reeves said nothing, just stared at the grave he dug. 7 more, Bumpy said. "Keep digging." Grave 3. By noon, Reeves had finished the 3rd grave. He could barely stand. His legs were trembling. His hands were so blistered that holding the shovel made him cry out in pain. But Bumpy didn't let him stop. Alice Freeman. Alice was 19, just started working as a nurse. You stabbed her in an alley behind the hospital where she worked. Her mother identified her body, screamed so loud the whole hospital heard it. "Please," Reeves whispered, I can't do this anymore." "Yes, you can, because those 9 people couldn't stop you from stabbing them. They begged, they pleaded. You didn't listen, so now you dig." Grave 4. By evening, Reeves had finished the 4th grave. He collapsed at the edge of it, couldn't move, couldn't lift the shovel anymore. Willie poured water over his head, forced him to drink. Bumpy placed the 4th cross. Catherine Moore. Catherine was a grandmother, 64 years old, walking home from church. You stabbed her for $23. She died holding a Bible. Reeves was crying now, not from remorse, from exhaustion, from pain.
You're halfway done. 4 more graves to go." Reeves looked up at him with hollow eyes. "Just kill me, please. I can't do this anymore." "No, you finish what you started. You created 9 victims, so you dig 9 graves, all of them." Grave 6. The 6th grave took 12 hours. Reeves could barely lift the shovel. Every swing was agony. His hands were destroyed. The blisters had burst. His fingers were bleeding. But he kept digging, because every time he stopped, Willie would point a gun at his head. By the time he finished, it was evening on March 23rd. Bumpy placed the 6th cross. Sarah Jenkins. Sarah survived,
Bumpy said, "but she'll never be the same. The stab wound damaged her liver. She'll need medication for the rest of her life. She's 28 years old. She'll spend the next 50 years living with what you did to her." 3 more graves. Grave 7. The 7th grave took 14 hours. Reeves was delirious, hallucinating, talking to people who weren't there, but he kept digging. Bumpy placed the 7th cross. Jerome Washington. "Jerome survived too," Bumpy said. "Lost a kidney, can't work anymore. His wife left him because they couldn't afford the medical bills. His life is destroyed because of you." 2 more graves. Grave 8. By the time Reeves started the 8th grave, it was March 24th. He'd been digging for 3 days. He was barely human anymore, just a broken body moving mechanically, digging, digging, digging. Bumpy placed the 8th cross. Michael Crawford. "Michael was a jazz musician," Bumpy said. "You stabbed him in the hand. He survived, but he can't play piano anymore. His career is over. Everything he worked for, gone." 1 more grave. Grave 9. The 9th grave took 20 hours. Reeves couldn't stand anymore. He dug on his knees, then on his stomach, using the shovel like a claw to scrape away dirt. By the time he finished, it was the morning of March 25th. He'd been digging for 4 days. He gestured to Willie and Marcus. "Take him to the police." 6:30 a.m., March 25th, 1957. Vincent Reeves was pushed through the front door of the 28th Precinct Police Station. He could barely walk. His hands were wrapped in bloody rags. His body was covered in dirt. His eyes were hollow. 2 officers looked up from the front desk. "Vincent Reeves," Illinois Gordon said from the doorway. "Wanted for 9 stabbings, 7 murders. You'll find the murder weapon at his last known address on 142nd Street. The officers moved to arrest him. Reeves didn't resist, didn't say a word. Illinois turned and left. Vincent Reeves was tried and convicted of 7 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder, sentenced to death, executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing Prison on January 12, 1959. But the prison guards who watched over him in his final months said he was already dead, said he never spoke, never slept, just sat in his cell staring at his hands, said he had nightmares, would wake up screaming, talking about graves, about digging, about 9 wooden crosses. Said that in his final hours before the execution, Reeves asked the guards a question. Which grave was mine? Which one was for me? The guards didn't understand, but Bumpy Johnson did, because the answer was simple. All 9 graves were for Vincent Reeves. Every person he killed, he was digging his own grave. Every life he took, he was burying himself. And by the time he finished digging the 9th grave, there was nothing left of him to bury. The 9 wooden crosses stayed in Woodlawn Cemetery for 2 weeks. Then the families of the victims came. They removed 8 of the crosses, took them home, kept them as memorials. But the 9th cross, the one with no name, stayed in the ground. And 30 years later, when Woodlawn Cemetery expanded that section, groundskeepers found it, still standing, still marked with a question mark. They asked the cemetery director what to do with it. "Leave it," the director said. "It's a reminder." A reminder of what? That some graves are dug long before the body goes in them. The cross is still there. If you go to Woodlawn Cemetery, far northeast corner, near the pauper section, you'll find 8 filled graves with proper headstones, and 1 empty grave with a wooden cross. No name. Just a question mark.
waiting.